Agatha All Along series finale. As far as we know, it does look like they're going to be picking up this story in another series, but as far as we're concerned, we only get one season of Agatha All Along. Go ahead right away, please let me know, what did you think of the series as a whole, and what did you think specifically of the finale? I actually think they knocked it out of the park with this one. For the first couple of episodes, I didn't actually enjoy them that much, but once they got into it, once they got on the road, I actually loved it from there on out. So overall, I think this show was a grand slam. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you do not want any spoilers for the final 2 episodes of Agatha All Along, this is your warning, as we are going to be breaking down the finale ending of Agatha All Along, episode 8 and 9. Now, this is specifically going to be an ending explained video. We are going to break both episodes down in full. I'll get on that right after this video, and it'll come out tomorrow. But first, let's talk about what this ending means and what it sets up for the future, because as you've seen, it sets up a lot. Okay, so 2 big things that you have to know about the series end here. If you've been following the breakdowns, you know that a lot of us thought that Agatha probably made up the fact that she had survived the road. And for all of you who thought that, you were partially right. She did indeed make up the entire road herself. It was actually made up by a song that her and her son, Nicholas Scratch, actually wrote together while simply walking on roads as witches. This was the birth of the Witch's Road song. So of course, what does that mean for the Witch's Road, that this coven that Agatha has been with the entire time? What were they traveling on? Well, they were traveling on a Witch's Road, but this was created by Billy Maximoff, the son of the Scarlet Witch, which might come at little to no surprise that he has powers very similar to his mother's, in the fact that he can actually shape and bend reality just like her. And they actually kind of alluded to this in episode 7 when Lilia drew the magician card for Billy. When she drew the card originally for him, she said, "You have enormous potential and the ability to turn all of your goals into reality." That wasn't a metaphor of any kind. That was actually a very straight on literal statement that she was making about Billy, as he has the literal power to shape reality, just like the Scarlet Witch has, just like we saw her do in WandaVision. I mean, she created kids out of nothing, out of magic. And one of them, and now technically 2 by the end of the finale, have been reincarnated. So he has the ability to turn his wants into reality, and by the end of episode 8, he realizes that. But what's interesting is that he does indeed end up giving Jen her powers back. So this is truly very powerful magic that he has that's very important moving forward with the future of the MCU. However, the Witch's Road is not like the song has represented. Obviously, because Agatha made up the song and Billy made the road. So at the end, when Agatha completed her trial, nothing happened because, again, this was just simply Billy making up the road. Now, in the last episode, he does realize that since he was the one who made the road, everything bad that happened was his fault, including the people that died. In a way, that is. Alice obviously died to Agatha, that was not his fault, and Lilia sacrificed herself, so that wasn't his fault as well. And technically, Sharon Davis going on the road was Agatha's fault, and as she said, she was going to kill her anyways, so not his fault either, really, but he blames himself. So his reality-shaping powers give Jen her actual powers back, and with the help of Agatha, he actually manages to help his brother become reincarnated as well. His spirit goes into the body of a young boy who drowned. As Billy was guiding his brother's spirit, he saw that the young boy was drowning, and right when the young boy drowned, his spirit, Tommy's spirit, went inside of the boy, reincarnating Wanda's other son, Tommy, aka Speed, in the comics. So Agatha really did do some good. She used actual witch knowledge there to help Billy bring back his brother, which was a big no-no for Death. In the beginning of this episode, when Agatha and Death are talking to each other, Death explains that if Wiccan, or Billy, simply dies, he'll just reincarnate again. She explains that basically he is an anomaly, most likely due to him being the son of the Scarlet Witch, who is also not supposed to exist according to Agatha Harkness, and his magical powers being so powerful. So it's explained that if Billy dies, his spirit is just going to find another body, but Death won't know who he takes, so she won't be able to find him. And she hates that because he is essentially spitting in her face, spitting in Death's face. He is saying, "You can't kill me." Now, he doesn't really know that he's doing it, but that's what's happening, and Death hates it. Also, just a little cherry on top there, he would be bringing another soul back to life, his brother. So Death did not want any of this to happen, but as we've learned through these couple of episodes and through the series entirely, Agatha and Rio used to be together. They used to be lovers, and it seems like for an incredibly long time they were. And sadly, when Rio, or Death, shows up to take Agatha's child, Nicholas, away right as he is born, Agatha even begs her, saying, "No, no, please, my love." No. When she is saying my love, she is referring to Rio, Death. And she obviously knows that she is Death and she is there to take her child. So there's absolutely no confusion whatsoever on whether or not Agatha knew Rio was Death when they started dating. She absolutely knew. But by this time, they tell us that it was 1750. By this time, she had already killed her mother and a coven, and we assume probably other covens as well, considering that when she has her son, she just goes right back to killing covens again. She killed her mother and her mother's coven in 1693. This is 1750, so she's had plenty of killing to do. But this is essentially, we are assuming, when they broke up. Because she says, if you take him, I will hate you forever if you do this. And ultimately, sadly, she does end up taking him. So your lover taking your son away, yeah, that's pretty much a deal breaker. But here's something that you have to know about Death as a character. Yes, she can seemingly cause physical death to happen, like when she attacks Agatha in episode 8, but she is also simply Death, the cosmic entity, who typically does not cause the death of people. She simply takes them from one life to the next. It's balance. They explain this in the comics that she is absolutely necessary. In fact, in the comics, when they kill her, they decide to bring her back because death is a necessary part of the life cycle. So it wasn't really her choice to kill Agatha's son, but since she is Death, she is responsible for taking him. And it seems like she really did love Agatha because when she came originally as the baby was being born, you could tell by the look on her face she really didn't want to be there. And she borderline almost looks like she's gonna cry in some scenes. And she does end up giving them time, and I believe this is what she is referring to in episode 7 in the beginning, where she says, your special treatment was unlike anything else that I've ever given to anybody. She essentially paused Death herself for Agatha to have a handful of years with her son. Also, if you recall from episode 4, where everybody was gathered around and they were talking about their scars, she says that she has a scar. She says a long time ago, I loved someone, and I had to do something that I did not want to do, even though it was my job, and it hurt them. She is my scar. And what she was referring to is the time that she had to take Agatha's son, Nicholas Scratch, because that is her literal job. She is literally a cosmic entity responsible for Death. And insiders have told us that we are going to be seeing more of Death in the MCU, and I really hope that that is the case, even if it's after the multiverse saga. I really hope we hear more about her story, things that she has done, her relationship with Agatha. I'd like to see more of that, and I'd like to see if she's interacted with anybody else in the MCU. I'm looking at you, Deadpool, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Now, as Death said in the last episode, all roads lead back to her, so when Agatha completes her trial in the Witch's Road created by Billy, she gets out and she returns to her home, or we should say the home of Ralph Boner. And of course, Death is waiting for her there at the end, and she does not have her powers back. The road did not grant Agatha her powers back, and that's most likely due to the fact that Billy probably doesn't want Agatha to have her powers back because he doesn't trust her. Or I should say he didn't, because eventually he does come to her aid. We'll get to that in just a bit. Now, the reason that Death can actually kill Agatha is because they made a deal. The deal was Agatha would get Billy to surrender himself. That way she wouldn't have to kill him and his body just simply get reincarnated. If he surrenders willingly, apparently he can't get reincarnated, and that is according to the conversation they had in the beginning. So Agatha gets Billy to essentially surrender himself, and then Death leaves Agatha alone for a really, really long time, and when she dies, Death can't actually be there. But since Billy did not turn himself in, Agatha did not keep to her part of the deal, so now Death gets to take her life, and it's the perfect opportunity for Death because Agatha does not have any of her powers. This is why Death came for her originally in the first episode. Agatha is powerless. And although she is Death and she could simply do it, it's certainly easier if you're going up against a powerless Agatha. And we see just how powerful Death is. Again, she's a cosmic entity, and Agatha even tries to do some analog magic trying to keep evil away, but unfortunately for Agatha, death isn't evil. She's a necessity. She says, "You're calling me evil. I am the natural order of all things, baby, and you love me." This is actually a very important part because death does seem very evil throughout this entire thing, but really what we're seeing here is kind of a jealous, psychotic ex-lover. That's really what this kind of comes down to. That's why she says, "And you love me." And that's why she wants Agatha. She wants to take her. And moments later, she even says, "Why don't you want me?" So again, death seems really evil for going after Agatha, but really it's just kind of a lover's quarrel here. Now, really cool moment. She does end up attacking Agatha and she says, "You coward." And this is a callback to the last episode where Lilia, before she sacrificed herself, said, "When she calls you a coward, hit the deck." Now, that's obviously because she has seen into the future because she lived her life out of time, out of order. So sweet Lilia momentarily saved Agatha's life. But of course, death prevails. She ends up cutting Agatha's Achilles tendon, making her unable to walk. Agatha gets some water, starts to try to heal it, but of course she's interrupted by death. She comes in to deliver the final blow with her dagger, but then Agatha is saved by Wiccan, who comes flying in, full power, full comic accurate costume that I absolutely love. This scene was incredible. And since Agatha helped him bring his brother to life, he now all of a sudden trusts her. So he says, "Don't take it all," referring to his power, of course, so she wouldn't kill him. So he trustingly gives his power to Agatha, and surprisingly, but unsurprisingly because she's grown really attached to him, she does not take all of his power, but she is now repowered. Now, she tries to fight death, and yeah, they can give her some blows, but ultimately they know they can't kill death. They can't kill the actual embodiment of death itself in the cosmic universe, and the multiverse for that fact. Although, fun fact in the comics, they never actually specifically tell you if it's the same death in every universe. They specifically leave it vague. But anyways, of course, they realize they're not going to be able to defeat death, so one of them is going to have to go with her. Death says, "I'll let you two decide." Agatha says, "It should be me, of course." In which, yeah, I'd say she is definitely the logical choice. Of course, it's hard to give yourself up, but she's lived for a very long time. Agatha tells Billy, "You're good," and Billy says, "You're good too," but Agatha replies with, "You're the only one who thinks that," and rightfully so. She has killed a ton of people. She may be good now in her heart, and they didn't really tell us why she was killing everybody. Perhaps she was taking power to keep herself alive for immortality, which again is pretty selfish. Maybe she was doing it to try and save her son. Who knows, but she has killed a lot of witches, as we saw in the final episode. She even admits that she was going to kill their entire coven there when they were trying to summon the fake witch's road that she knew was fake. She just wanted to take their powers and kill them all. But Billy essentially sacrifices himself because he's a good-hearted kid, but Agatha knows what she is doing next. She kind of plays along and she says, "Go ahead, take him. That's what I promised you." And Billy is legitimately confused, and rightfully so. So he tries to communicate with Agatha via her mind, via telepathy. Billy says, "Is this how Nikki died?" And it strikes a chord in her heart. So she turns around, kisses Death, and lets her take her. And she effectively dies, and Death lets Billy go. She can't kill him because he'll just reincarnate. And if it wasn't for the next episode, the finale, I would have kind of believed that Agatha was really going to let Death take Billy and Billy sacrifice himself. And you still could very well kind of believe that. But Agatha did see a lot of her son in Billy, so it makes sense that she did sacrifice herself for him, even though when she comes back as a ghost, she says, "I did not sacrifice myself for you." But then she says, "I took a calculated risk." But I think this is her playing it off like she really doesn't care. I think she did take a calculated risk, but she did do it to sacrifice herself for Billy. The risk was whether or not she'd return as a ghost. Because in episode 5, when Agatha's mother appeared as a ghost, Lilia explained that ghosts are tied to this plane, the living plane, by emotions. She says emotion ties them to this plane. They have unfinished business. And that emotion was to Billy. Throughout this entire series, she became attached to Billy, probably because he reminded her a lot of her own son. That is that emotional bond that she made in her own heart, but she also established an emotional bond with him throughout the entire show, and that probably definitely amplified when she helped him bring his brother, Tommy, aka Speed, back to life. She helped reincarnate him. So the calculated risk was that she cared enough about Billy to be brought back as a ghost. And as far as the unfinished business is concerned, that is finding Billy's brother, Tommy, which of course is what the very ending of this sets up. Billy and Agatha, as a ghost, going to find Tommy. Now, Billy has pretty much just kind of had it with Agatha at this point, and he probably thinks in his mind and his heart that Agatha really was going to let him die. And he is super upset with the fact that he believes that he did kill everybody on the road. It was because he created the road, therefore it's his fault. So when Agatha reappears to him, naturally he's kind of annoyed. Rightfully so, because she's still kind of keeping up her evil shtick. She explains that the song never meant anything, but of course it meant something to her originally because her and her son came up with it, but ultimately she would just use the song as a way to lure witches to her to steal their powers and kill them. Which means Billy did really come up with the road with his reality-altering powers all by himself. However, a happy kind of ish ending, Agatha does explain that he did essentially save a life, and that is Jen's, and he did give her powers back, and she flies away into the sun, and it's really nice. But Agatha says, get used to this. You're a witch. You're going to kill people. And that just pisses Billy off. So he heads to, well, really Ralph Boner's home, but Agatha's old home, because he wants to find his book and he wants to banish Agatha. Now, Agatha makes it seem like the pennant that she had connects her to that plane, but she gets it back and is still there. So again, the emotional tie that she has to this plane is Billy. And he asks, why won't you go? And she says, because I can't face him, referring to her son. And she even says at the end, it's when you say things like that you remind me of him. Now, Billy uses his powers, he closes the road, and he also gives us a nice little memorial for the witches who passed on the road. Sharon Davis, not Mrs. Hart, but Sharon Davis, Alice Wu Gulliver, and Lilia Caldero. They were all awesome. I'm super sad that they are actually dead. But now, Billy and Agatha set out on a new mission to go find Tommy, and insiders have been telling us for a while that there is a project out there that's being developed where they do indeed go look for Tommy. So they were right on that one, and one of the sources out there even told me that Agatha dies and turns into a witch, so they were right about that one as well. Now, I love this ending because in the comics, it's actually Agatha Harkness as a witch who guides the Scarlet Witch originally down the Witch's Road, and the Witch's Road is real in the comics. So I like how they're kind of swapping this. Instead of Agatha Harkness as a ghost guiding Wanda, Agatha as a ghost is guiding Wanda's son. I love it. I think it's awesome. I really did love this series. The first 2 episodes were kind of meh for me, but as it went on, it got amazing. I loved the characters and I love the cast who played the characters. I hope we get more of them. I definitely hope we see more of Agatha and Billy. I hope that project comes to fruition. I'm sure it will, but let me know what you thought about the series as a whole in the comments down below. And are you looking forward to the new series where Billy and Agatha go look for Tommy, ultimately leading to a reunion, I'm sure, with their mother, the Scarlet Witch? So leave all your thoughts in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming breakdowns, and of course to stay up to date on the MCU. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.